Hi, this is ASDP ufologist Jody Brown from Arizona, and you are watching Alien Strand Podcast with host Donald Ledesma.
AlienStrand.com, the official website.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Ledesma, and welcome to today's show. Man, it's going to be another good one today. I hope you guys are out there watching today. I hope you guys had an amazing day today. It was just one of those awesome days. We had a really bad storms down here in South Texas, and it was just, 2 days of just thunder and lightning, and then all the winds and trees and power being knocked out. You know, it's kind of crazy how our weather just gets hot, cold, but it is what it is. Look, Ryan Keaton is out there. What's up, my brother? How you doing? We got David Alief out there. Hello, my brother. How you doing? Another two ASDP representatives watching out there right now. Tonight's show is going to be, ADEs, man. After-death experiences. What can I say? I can't express that anymore and as much as I can of how important it is to listen to a lot of this things that I'm going to bring out to you tonight. I'm going to show you a couple of videos, and I'm going to be we're going to get Miss June DeYoung here on the phone here shortly, and we'll just talk. Hi, Shannon, how you doing? It's this is going to be. It might be a little touchy, but at the same time, it's gonna make you think a little bit, about, hey, is there a possibility if there's something in the afterlife, right? Or when you die and these things occur and they happen to you, right? So if you're listening right now on Spreaker, we are live on Spreaker. Thank you for listening. We're on 28 audio platforms. We are live on Spreaker. I will be on iHeartRadio, Spotify, all those good ones. You can even ask Alexa. She'll play you some Alien Strand Podcast. Don't forget about that, all right? Don't worry about it either. But it's all good. Past podcasts, don't forget it. Subconscious manifesting, past lives and future lives, and then I did have one about the children, the alien children that we had out there, and I talked about how a lot of these the way the crafts, they saw them first, and then they saw the aliens. They it was just something to think about. It was just all the steps that happens to a lot of people that are abductees. Go check those out as well. Of course, tonight's podcast, it's going to be near-death experiences. We're going to talk to June DeYoung about it, and because she's had that as well, and maybe she can explain these things a little bit better. I'm going to pick her brain, and I will be asking her a few questions tonight. Hopefully we don't get no glitches and things that usually happen when we're trying to do a video podcast. Well, we're going to pray for the best, man. We're going to pray for the best. But it's one of those things. There's a lot of people. Hello to the group. There's people just out there already chiming in now. Yeah, this is going to be something that's going to be important to talk about, and I'm glad I'm able to have her on the show to help us maybe just know what's going on, right? So the middle tetralogy, I already got part 1's out there. Part 2, it just got licensed by another company in January. I didn't even know it yet, but I'm going to put a link to that page. And it's not there yet, but it's going to be. But just type it in the search. The middle part 2 CE5 or CE3. Type that in. Keep typing it in over and over, and they'll know that they need to put it on their platform right away. Okay, we're just hoping for the best on that. All right. Of course, you can still watch it on our Skylight One channel. Go check it out. We're on Facebook. You'll find that channel. I'll throw links to all of this as well. Don't forget, middle. It's going to be coming up on Amazon Prime. We're hoping. So also, don't forget Alien Strand Disclosure Project, because there's no I in team. We all work together. Go check us out there. The near-death experience is it's a difficult one, because there's a lot of scientific that goes with it. A lot of scientists try to break it down into, if does your soul leave? Does it do these things, right? Or they even had tests to where they put a mirror, and then they on the back of the mirror, when somebody was passing away, they would just maybe, if they came back, that they put another sign behind it that they couldn't see, and they would kind of just say, if they did came back, hey, did you read that sign? Right? Of course, a lot of people couldn't do that, because it's a different kind of experience, right? It's almost like you're in control, but you're not in control, right? When you're in that stage, right, of the N.D.E. And I will be showing, like I said, I'm going to show a few videos tonight on exactly that whole experience, right? So without further ado, let's go ahead and get June DeYoung on right now. Hopefully she's in the background. Let me check to see if she's there. I believe she is. So let's find out here. So all right. Nice. It's nice that you're there in the background. So I know that you've experienced a near-death experience yourself as well, and we saw the video for that on the last 2 podcasts back of what happened to you. Now, is the transition stage to where people go through near-death experiences, is it all the same, or do they go through different things?
Well, hi everybody. How you doing? Well, I went through different things. I went through 7 different ones. No 2 were the same whatsoever. Okay? So if people think they're going to go, I'm going to see the light, and it's going to be the same as when you go see the light, it's not. It's not at all.
Mm.
My first one, yes, I went up through a car accident, right? I had a car accident.
Right.
I was in the back of a Chrysler New Yorker, an orange metallic one, pretty crazy. I was with a bunch of guys from work. I used to work for Sperry Univac, which became Sperry Rand, which became Unisys Corporation. And I used to work training in TV there. And so a bunch of the guys from work said, let's go out. And they were computer techno nerds, right? Pretty cool guys. Loved talking with them. And so anyway, this guy, we called him Boo Boo Rucker. I don't know why he liked to be called that. He was from Detroit, and he was in the front seat. And this guy from Texas was in the passenger seat. And I was in the middle, right? And my friend Christine was on the left side, and on the right side was a guy from Craig from Chillicothe, Ohio, because all these people would fly in to train on computers.
Right.
So that was their big thing. So it was exciting to meet people from all over the country, And one day it was my friend Tracy's birthday, and we went to her birthday party. We showed up late. And, said our little highs and everything, and highs and goodbyes. And we went back, and we went back through a place called Riva Avenue,
right,
in Jersey, in Monroe Township. Anyway, so we're driving through, and I used to drive this street. I mean, I drove this street so fast because I wanted to be a race car driver, and I used to race when I was in middle school. I used to do racing on like go-karts and things like that, small little cars, because we had a raceway out in Jersey where if you got good at that, when you turned a certain age, you were able to go out and race these little cars, and that was my thing,
Right.
And so anyway, I would race my own car, which was an Oldsmobile then, right? And I'd be like taking that Oldsmobile back and forth and back and forth. It was like slalom racing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything were these like really quick turns, and it was right next to a lake which had a waterfall.
Right.
And so it was really, really, truly amazing. And it was October 9th, 1980, that this occurred. Anyway, so we did the little slalom thing, and I would do it, and I'd be like, yeah, and then my tires would burn. You know what I mean? They would smoke. I was smoking. But anyway, so here he is. He's driving, and I'm telling you that preface because it's pretty amazing because he's driving, and as we go down the hill, okay, and he hasn't even turned left yet, okay? He's just headed down the hill. We've got the waterfall to the right in the front, right?
Right.
We've got the lake coming up, and thank God we had a big tree just before the lake, okay? And he had a big car. If he had a small car, we all would have been dead. That would have been it. We all would have drowned and been dead and, you know,
Right.
crushed and everything, even though this was a near death. So, and I wasn't the only one in the car that had the near death or saw the light. Okay. So, so what happened was we were headed down, and I could see his foot on the pedal, right? And then on the brake, and he was going 25 miles per hour. Everything became slow-mo all of a sudden. Slow motion kicked in, and it was the most amazing thing. It feels like yesterday. And
Right.
as we're going down, and 25 miles per hour, okay, and we have a totaled car from this, right? Which is amazing to me. You know, like Princess Diana's car, that's what it looked like.
Right.
Smashed like that.
Mhm.
So anyway, and you would think we would have lost limbs and things, and we didn't. Okay. So anyway, I end up headed towards, you know, I'm in that, and I feel like I'm being lifted a little bit out of the middle of the back seat, and I feel like I'm coming up about like, you know, like a foot.
Okay.
And I could see over the shoulder, and I had my hands on each one of the seats. And you know, it had that little bench seat, you know, that when you're a kid you want to sit on, that little armrest thing was
Right.
down, right? And that was pushed down. You know, you could push it up or push it down in one of those cars. So that armrest was down, and my two hands me around the seats. I mean, you know, on each side in the middle. And so I'm watching that. I'm seeing his foot. I'm feeling levitated up, right? I'm starting to see this bright light come from the top of the car. Like the top of the car was missing. Pretty interesting.
Right.
And it was all like white light. And the windows on the side blew out. One of the guys actually thought he rolled the window down. He goes, I rolled the window down. I go,
Oh, stop. Yep, there we go.
no, because my school bus driver inspected the car, and I went to my school bus. Huh? You there?
Yeah, it was.
The
We
way
were
it
losing.
blew
We were losing.
out
We were
was
losing.
like when
Looks like we're losing. We're losing her. She's having that. For some reason, her when she goes on, her phone just starts glitching every time. If you can hear me, June, see if you can sign out and sign back in. Let's try this again, and maybe you can get it back on there. But I think what she's trying to say is that she was seeing the light, and it's just the experience is the hardest thing to do of the N.D.E itself, right? And then it seems like you're being pulled, right? Pulled out of the water, or it's like that underground effect, right? That underwater effect. They say that the pulling it feels like energy that's pulling you, which I did read a lot of stories about that, about the N.D.Es, and I do watch a lot of the videos of N.D.Es because it's very I'm very intrigued by it, right? Because the NDEs are super, like it picks my brain of how you can, you can leave your body, you could see your body when you leave it, right? And then on top of that, it's hard to not control what's happening to you, right, as you're leaving, right? And I'm just going to do this real quick. You know, the definition of a near-death experience is it's a profound personal experience associated with death or impeding death. Researchers have described as having similar characteristics. When the positive, which is the majority, are such experiences may encompass a variety of sensations, including detachment from the body, which I just talked about, feelings of levitation, which I just talked about, total serenity, security, warmth, joy, and the experience of absolute dissolution. The review of major life events. People start seeing what's happened to them, things after that, right? And then they start, and they start seeing the presence of a light and seeing dead relatives, right? When the negative, those it says when negative, such experiences may include sensations, anguish, distress, a void, devastation, vast empathy, and seeing hellish places and even the devil. So this is what what it's telling you what the NDE actually is. And how do you not kind of think about it? How you can not wonder exactly what's happening as you're leaving your body, right? Or like she's talking about, she was involved in a crash, right? Of how a lot of those things do happen to her, and she's had more than one NDE, right? So we talked about leaving the body, right? And then after that, you actually see the bright light or a tunnel, which she was apparently talking about right now, before the lines went bad on her. But as she's trying to come back, we'll bring her back on here in a minute. I see she tried to log back in, so let me see if she's there or not. I don't think she is. Let me see. Are you there?
Yeah, I am.
Okay,
Hi.
cool. Nice, good. Okay, now I got you. All right. So yeah, we were talking about the bright light. So okay, so you saw the light as you were coming as the crash was happening, correct?
Well, yeah, it took off the ceiling of the car, which I thought was really interesting, right?
Right.
And then the there was this tree in front, and I saw the weirdest thing was I could see like the tree for a second, and I thought, oh, we're headed towards the water. We're going to be in the water. You know what I mean? And my fear is of drowning, which is sort of funny, right? Anyway, so if we head towards the tree, apparently we smashed into the tree. I didn't hear anything. I couldn't hear the crash whatsoever because the sound, which is in Enya's music, believe it or not, Watermark, which is a sound of, which is also in Star Trek, by the way. It's like a sound, okay? Right. That takes over, almost like white noise. That takes over anything that you're in. So I was lifted up. I could see the bodies below. I could see the guys in the front. Okay, the one guy I could see he hit the windshield. Right. Like he went right into the windshield. The driver, and Boo Boo Rucker went into the windshield. Anyway, I saw my friend Christine. She hit the front of the seat, or I should say the back of the passenger seat. How's that? Okay. The seat in front of her. Anyway, the right side, I saw Craig hit the window on the right. Well, he broke his collarbone, believe it or not, in this. Okay. So, and the guy in the front, I saw his arm outside the window, which I thought was like, wow, that was really weird, Right. And I saw that, and I'm hovering above, and then I see this woman, and her hair is like blowing in the wind, and it's wavy, and it's almost red-like. Mm-hmm. Okay. And by the way, most people who have near-death experiences will do their hair red. Is that interesting?
Wow. Didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a fact. It's a fact. And so the wildest thing is, like, I get pulled. This woman's got her hand, and she's holding my hand, pulling me through the ceiling of the car all the way up.
Oh, wow.
Right? And I could see her as she's like bending down, like an angel would be in the wind, right?
Right.
Right. And she's bending down to pull me out of the car, right? From the sky, okay? In the light.
Wow.
Pulling me to the light.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I hear this man's voice, which I have heard his voice after on each near-death experience. Fascinating, right? Don't know his name, but I have heard his voice. It's a very strong male voice. And he goes, "You know what to do." Just like that.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, I'm back in the car. And I have this superhuman strength. And I am taking out, like the adrenaline's rushing, and I am taking out Craig's feet from the car. The car's smoldering like it's going to blow up or catch fire.
Right.
Right? Christine got out on her own. I went around and I opened the door and pulled, because it didn't smash that door, the back door where Craig was. Right. And I had to, his feet, he had bubble-toed work boots, right? Remember those? And and those work boots, those yellow ones, were like underneath the seat, stuck under the seat. So I had to take his feet from out of the boots, because I couldn't get the boots out.
Right.
And grab him and drag him all the way to the hill above from where the car was. How I did that, don't even ask me. I couldn't do that today. No. I couldn't do that with my strength, And the other guy jumped out of the window. Okay, who had his arm out the window, the dude from Texas. And Boo Boo Rucker was bleeding all over himself. And it took me to get him out. Okay? I got him out to the street. And he's a big guy. I mean, this is a guy that's like over 200 pounds. You know what I'm saying? This is a big guy. So I get him out, and I'm thinking, I'm 109 pounds, right? Dragging these guys out. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we all go to the hospital. The neighbors saw us on their front lawns and heard the crash, which I didn't hear.
Right.
And I felt different. I felt really different. Anyway, go ahead.
It's kind of strange that you're talking about a car accident, right? Because I had no idea that you were going to talk about a car accident. And I was just kind of looking for some content to put out so people can, kind of relate to what happens to other people out there as well, right? So I have a video right here. I want you to check this out. And then it's kind of similar, but check out what you guys watch this video real quick. It's probably less than a minute long. So let's check this out real quick. Here we go.
"Oh yeah, you definitely should have died." I looked at him and I said, "Yeah, you know what? I probably should have." And one of the other officers goes, "We have got a question though for you that we've been wondering since it all happened." And I was like, "Okay." And they go, "Who's Jason?" And right when they said that, I turned to my mom and I looked at her and she went like this and looked at them and she goes, "Why are you asking her that?" And they go, "Well, when she crashed that car, that I was in a full-blown conversation with someone named Jason. And that when the cops came, they thought that Jason flew out of the car. So they were searching the surrounding area looking for him." I'm sitting there and I'm looking at my mom and she's looking at me and she, starts having tears come down her eyes. And in that moment, I just said to myself, okay, so that's like, it's real. One of the guys.
So that's kind of similar of your story, in a sense of what she had a car accident, and apparently the person Jason she was talking about, I believe it was like a relative of hers, maybe a brother, I don't know, that had passed already in the past. So she was actually having a conversation with this person. So so the possibility, this is what I'm going to ask you right now. So the possibilities is of being in the middle, in the middle of the transition, like you're kind of awake and then transcending at the same time, right? It's basically
You're very awake. You're hyper aware.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is the possibility that's happened. That can happen too, right? You're like half death, and because when a lot of people pass away, I've been around a couple of times, family members, and they actually start reaching out, or they see other family members that have passed, that are sitting there waiting for them on the other side.
Well, I did a lot of research because I worked on Dragonfly, the movie. So
Right.
I was a consultant, for Tom Shadyac and Jim Brubaker. Jim Brubaker did Apollo, and I worked on Evan Almighty, Bruce Almighty. Bruce Almighty was named Bruce Almighty because of me, but and I worked, and Morgan Freeman became God because of me, and Jim Carrey became, of course, Bruce Almighty. Anyway,
Right.
and that was my picking of casting, and also in Dragonfly, the children, because I do the bunnies for Children's Hospital, and I go to Children's Hospital and I hold preemies and donate my time to hold preemies because they don't have family going there, and a lot of families are, what should I say, cry a lot. So those preemies feel that energy, right?
Right.
And they normally die when they feel the trauma of somebody, So I'll go and hold them. And also a lot of senior citizens go and donate their time, which is very kind. And they hold preemie babies, and they just think love and happiness and everything. And those babies grow up strong and very fast, right? It's all how we feel. It's that empathic feeling. And by the way, you have hyper-aware empathic feelings through near-death experiences, right? But anyway, when those children die in the hospital, they are reaching up. So you can see a scene in that movie that I worked on, and you'll see the children with their arms up. I even had him hire Kevin Costner for the film. And he was going to hire George Clooney, believe it or not. But anyway, at the time, Kevin needed a resurrection of his career in a different kind of way,
Right.
And so that put him in a different division. Anyway, but I wanted to tell you that my hearing came back after the near death. That's the really important thing. Well, it's one of the important things. But when I went to the hospital, they checked me and everything, and they said, "Do you have any problems?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm deaf in an ear, and I couldn't be a sound engineer like I wanted to, right?"
Right.
And it was really hard for me. It was because a kid on the school ground shouted and cupped their hands while they were shouting in my ear, and it hurt my eardrum. So I had tons of tests when we used to have hearing tests years ago with that beep, beep, beep going back and forth. What happened was that beep, beep, beep thing. I of course had a really bad problem with the ear that I use now, which is really amazing. What I primarily use. So when I went through the near death, my hearing was back totally. I was totally restored, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And I blew the refrigerator up that time that I came home from the hospital. I opened the refrigerator and I blew it up, and I saw the thing fry in front of me.
So we have a
So that was
we have
my
a
first electronic experience. Go ahead.
we have a Facebook user out there is asking a question. They say it sounded like before they went down, they felt like they were going in slow motion before the light. It says, did something happen before the crash? In other words, is it like, did you get some kind of sign that maybe something was going to happen, or it just happened in the moment? As things were kind of going in motion. Hello. We lost her again. Okay. She'll be back. So anyway, we were talking about seeing people on the feeling of seeing people on the other side, right? And so I did grab a couple of videos as well of people kind of talking about the experience of the NDE, right? And like I was talking before, people reaching out. My sister was actually telling me a story that she watched an NDE of a man that had passed, and on the other side he actually saw babies. Like, there was babies on the other side, and they were the person that was telling him that the babies that were here, or the babies that weren't wanted down on earth, actually get to grow up there, and they actually get to have a life there. So and these are the experiences that they get to see up on the other side, right? Things that we couldn't even imagine that was happening. So let me just show this one video here. You guys can get a little bit of an idea. I believe this was a gentleman that was in the military, and he's kind of telling you the story. So this will be about a 1-minute video. Let's check this out.
I long to go back. And I'll tell you, when it's my time to return, I will welcome the return. But I understand the importance of living a full and rich life, and I would never do anything to jeopardize that. The experience itself has this element of hyper-reality, and it feels more real. And so that gives you that feeling of being home, because that feels more real than this. This life feels like a dream. It feels like I'm walking in a dream because I'm confined in this body with limited mental ability. And I long to go back home where I have my totality of who I am. I have a theory that when we're in this body, we bring with us just a percentage of our light. We bring just a small part of our light with us. But when we're released from the confines of this body, we're reintegrated with the totality of our being, with the wholeness of who we really are. There are times when we're having a spiritual experience that a larger percentage of it is available to us. But then, we go about our normal day, and so we're only utilizing a small percent of our light, of our greater being.
Yeah, and he's pretty much explaining the afterlife, he's kind of telling you that you brought back a little bit of peace back of the light with you, right? Because I've noticed that a lot of these stories that I watch and I hear about NDEs, that their life ends up changing. Junior, I think you're there. Does this happen to people as well that you talk to as well?
Well, yeah. Well, what happened was Boo Boo Rucker wrote a letter that stated that he was into Satanism and that he now found God, and he apologized to all of us. We all received letters,
right?
And that. Wow. And that, his head was split open, by the way. He had a scar. He says, I have this scar, reminding me that I shouldn't have been working with the dark side.
Yeah.
And Craig got his collarbone broken, right? And he confessed that he was a cocaine addict.
Okay.
And that he was always hearing dark voices. Okay. And then the guy in the front, he was all like having great experiences. I was having great experiences, and Chris was. But we were already God people. And I'm not against anybody for whatever they believe in or anything. It's just I find it's a fact, and it's fascinating to me, all of it. And by the way, when the refrigerator broke the next day, I went out to get the mail, and by the way, I was a clothing designer, right? So I was always making clothes, my own clothes. I was making like biblical robes. Next.
Wow.
I made a caftan with a big like sash going down it and the whole thing. And my family said, "What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
What happened from you making sexy clothes to, you know what I mean?
Right.
To covered up caftan.
Covered up, more conservative. Yeah. A conservative look. Yeah.
What's happening?
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on. And so it was very interesting. And then, so I went out to the mailbox to get the mail, and this guy pulls up, and it says refrigerator repairman on the truck. And I didn't call anybody. Oh, no, wait. No. I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't call him. I called one company, right? I called one company, and you'll laugh at this. So anyway, so this guy shows up, and he's blonde, and he's got these blue eyes, clear blue eyes. I mean, handsome guy, about 6'5", basketball player, like, right? And anyway, he shows up, and he's built like John D.E. from Touched by an Angel. He's like really built. And then he goes, "Oh, where's the refrigerator?" And I go, "Oh, it's through the screen door over there." And I was like, "Wow, dude's got a vibe on him." You know what I mean? And anyway, I went in the front door to the house, and he did what he did, and then he said, "I need to set you down and tell you what's going to happen to you." So my grandmother sat in the living room. She goes, "This man is special." I go, "Okay." She goes, "Junie, go sit with him." I said, "Okay." I sat with him, and he told me all the things I was going to do, and he told me how I was going to travel, and he told me all of these things. that I was going to have to do.
Right.
And I thought, wow. And he told me about Luke in the Bible, which I thought was very interesting,
Right.
to read Luke in the Bible. I thought that was fascinating. And so anyway, here I am in my biblical robe, being told to read Luke and listening to all this stuff, which of course happened in my life. All of it happened in my life. Anyway, so he leaves, refrigerator's fixed. Like, I didn't see him come in with a toolbox. It's just suddenly fixed. That thing was zapped. And my grandmother was freaking out because she always had turkeys for like Sunday dinner, family would come over. She was freaking out. I'll lose all this food. Oh my God. And she's from the Depression era. So, she's going nuts. So anyway, like people now go nuts that they don't have food. So anyway, so what happens is he leaves and a dude comes to the front door, to the screen, and he says, "Hey, I'm here." And I said, "Who are you?" And he's got on a striped shirt, with a name tag on it, with his name on it. So I said, "Where are you from?" And he goes, "I'm the guy to go and fix, your refrigerator." And I go, "What?" He goes, "You called someone to fix the refrigerator." I said, "Yeah, this guy came and fixed the refrigerator already." "Oh, come on, lady. Oh, come on. What do you mean the refrigerator's fixed?" I said, "Do you want to see?" I said, "Are you really a refrigerator guy? Where's your truck?" Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he hands me his business card, right? I'm like, okay. So I show him refrigerator's fixed, and he's like, "Okay, so I have to charge you half a visit to come all the way out here in the middle of the boondocks." Because
Right.
we were living in the country. Yeah.
Well,
So much charge us half a visit. I don't know if they paid or whatever. I just couldn't. His energy was angry energy.
so do you believe that, maybe like an angelic being probably made his way back to kind of give you a sort of a revelation of what was going to happen in your life, and then then of course it does happen, right?
Oh, yeah.
But it wasn't. I mean, was it like a straight? Like, I mean, I know you said it was a big, tall, guy.
Yeah.
It could have been an angel, because they say these angels are pretty massive. When people actually see them, or they can pretty much see the silhouette of these. Now let's talk a little bit about the landscapes, and like when people say that when they pass and they go through these NDEs, that the colors become so vibrant, right? It's a vibrant super color, right? And they get to experience even places that are like familiar to them, even though they've never seen these places, but it's like a familiar area they have experienced. Have you heard this before?
Well, I will tell you, after I drowned, that was one of them. I drowned in Cancun on vacation. Yeah, that was my last vacation. I haven't had a vacation since. That's a number of years ago. It was in the 80s.
Yeah.
So I'm a vacation-phobe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, don't say vacation to me. But anyway, I was when I came out of the water. I can go through that one too if you want. But when I came out of the water, all the colors were vibrant. But I went through the tunnel backwards. Like, I don't know if you remember Coppertone, the product Coppertone, and the Coppertone babies, and
Right.
everybody can Google that, and you could see a billboard of it, or you could show them a billboard of it, and it's like a dog pulling somebody from their bathing suit bottoms, right?
Right.
And pulling them backwards. Well, that's how I was, and I was in a red bikini, with gold chains on it, and I was being pulled backwards through the tunnel, and it was a whoosh kind of thing. But you see, I saw my mother on this side, who was living, say, "You can't leave me now."
Right.
Okay, and I thought I was on the ocean floor. I had totally given up. I mean, you can't. Once you swallow water, you have no lung capacity, and I just gave up, and I let go, and I went backwards through the tunnel. I'm the only one I know of, unless anybody out there can write me, and tell me that you went backwards too. But they call it like a tunnel. But anyway, I ended up. I mean, I could never open my eyes under the ocean water, with salt water, because it would burn. So anyway, so I had my eyes open, and then I saw this gorgeous orange light ball, the size of like a grapefruit, pretty much.
Right.
Okay. And in that, there was the face of my mother. And that's when she said, "You can't leave me now." And then all of it went all the way up.
Right.
And then I went through like a blowhole of the whale when I drowned in front of the Casa Magna Resort, the Marriott, in Cancun. And this guy came out of nowhere and pushed, and my friend was there, right? And that's why I know he came out of nowhere. She said he just like came out of the ocean. It was really odd. This tall, lanky guy, okay? And he pushed me out and then got the water out of my lungs. And then, boom, I was on the phone calling my mother, couldn't get through. Finally, took like 2 days. And my mom goes, "Oh my God, I wondered what happened. You didn't call him." I said, "No, I couldn't get through on the Mexican phones." And so she said, and of course, by the way, when you go on vacation, make sure there are lifeguards. Okay, there are no lifeguards when you go to Mexico. So make sure wherever you're going, there are lifeguards. Because this was a shelf of sand that dropped down. And I was immediately in, and I was under waves.
Right.
And I couldn't get out. I just couldn't get out. It kept hitting me 5 times. Couldn't get out. You can't fight the ocean. The thing was, I got Mom on the phone, and then she goes, "You can't leave me now." And I said, "What?" She goes, "You can't leave me now." I said, "That's what you said, under the ocean." She goes, "You can't leave me now. Grandma's losing her legs." She was a diabetic.
Right.
So I had to go out, and teach her how to walk again and work with people who had no limbs in the hospital. And that became a big thing for me to do, was helping people.
Let's talk about the darkness. Some people experience the darkness. Some will, have this hellish sort of experience to where they don't get to see the light. It goes to just straight darkness, and they start smelling sulfur. They start feeling heat, like they're in hell, right? And they see demons. They see these dark, shadowy figures. And they get pulled into a different direction. And this is like a 50-50 kind of thing, right? They've said there's over 11 million people have experienced an N.D.E, right? And out of the 11 million, at least half, or maybe a little less than half, have experienced the dark part of the actual experience of the N.D.E, right? And so when they experience the N.D.E, it just, they say it just feels so real, but they feel like what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about what the N.D.E actually is. You start feeling helpless, hopeless. You have these mixed emotions of it's not happiness anymore, none of that. You start just getting these darker kind of feels, right, when you're in this realm, let's just say that, right, of this place. Now, have you talked to other
what
people
place of the people who experience the dark? See, I never experienced any of that in my 7. Never experienced any of it.
Yeah, but do you know anybody that has? That's what I'm trying to say.
No.
Okay.
No, and people who used to come to, I used to do a lot of speaking engagements, and I attracted a whole bunch of people who had died before, just once or twice, but never as many as me, because I'm the most dead woman alive. That's what they call me. So all the comedians call me. So, but no, I've always experienced a comfort and a love, and after had major positive experiences, wonderful experiences.
Right.
And life-changing experiences. And like I was representing everybody else when I came out of that ocean, and then I was told, I heard the man's voice again, right? That said, "Your life will change. You represent you now. You will be in the public eye."
Right.
Like, oh boy. That's the last thing I wanted to do was like go back into, you know what I mean? Acting and I was happy representing musicians and painters and stuff. I was happy doing that. But I, then had to go and immediately I was placed on TV as a psychic, and immediately I had tons of clients. I did one show, and we had to take bakery numbers for
Yeah.
people because I couldn't read them fast enough. I could do 9 people in a day. I can't do 9 people in a day now, but I used to do 9 people in a day because, I do quality time with people. I do an hour or 2 sessions,
Right.
normally 2-hour sessions with
Well,
people because it goes by in 5 minutes. Again, like hypnosis. Anyway, go
yeah.
ahead. Sorry.
And I mean, a lot of these people, I've seen a lot of these videos, that they have on YouTube, of course.
Oh,
And,
okay.
after they experience the NDE, or especially when I was talking about the dark one, they
Mhm.
they start reaching out for a way out. Even not even the dark one. Sometimes it's just they're just in a tunnel, kind of stuck, and they're looking for a way out. Like, do I go that way, or like we talked about poltergeist going to the light Carol Lane, right? You know
Uh-huh.
what I mean? So
Yeah.
the people start reaching out for this area, right? And then something ends up pulling them through, right? Some people call it, God, whatever, Jesus, whoever it is, or
Right.
somebody positive. Even they see a loved one on the other side helping them through, right?
Mhm.
And then usually a lot of times when they do come, of course they do come back because they're telling the story, right?
Mhm.
So they give them the choice whether to stay. Some of them do get the choice whether to stay, whether to go back, or some it's like they say, it's not your time. You can visit, but you have to go back, right? So
Well, I
have
was
you?
asked, "Are you ready to come with us?" I was asked, and I said, "No, I have to. I have to save the children. I have to help the children." And then,
Right.
they left. You
Right.
know, and that's a really neat one that Michael Newton, who wrote Journey of Souls. That's something your audience would like to read.
Okay.
Michael wanted me to take over his business. He and I had long conversations. Um, he's a great, great man. And anyway, I experienced on Memorial Day. That's one of my near deaths. I came back from my friend Susan's house, and got to Studio City, and I started cleaning. And I'm cleaning and cleaning, the countertops, and I'm using fantastic spray cleaner, which wasn't so fantastic, I must say. All
Right.
of a sudden, it was the wildest one. All of a sudden, my throat started to close off, and I couldn't breathe.
Hmm.
And I was like, "Whoa!" And I was trying to breathe, and it was just like, it was insane. And I started to get hot and cold, in, out of my body, in, out of my body, in, out of my body. And the phone rings, and it's my mother, and
Right.
she says, "Call Sylvie," who is a friend of mine. "Call Sylvie now. Call Sylvie now. You're dying." And my mother was psychic,
Right.
For her to do that was trippy. So I called Sylvie. I had her on speed dial. I just hit the button, and she goes, "What's up?" She was with her boyfriend, and I said, "I'm dying." And she goes, "Oh, please, again?"
Wow.
And then she hangs up,
Hmm.
and I call back again. I go, "I need to go to the hospital. I need to go to the hospital." And the room started to change. I dropped the phone down, and the room started to change, and it was 6 light bulbs on one side, 6 light bulbs on the other side, size of grapefruits, all white, like the whole room, like was gone. Like I didn't have to go anywhere. It came to me. The other side came to me. See where I'm going?
Yeah.
And now, in the middle was this other ball, and it was iridescent like. And then it went. You heard this sound, and it became this being of light. And the
Mhm.
being of light had like biofeedback off of it. Okay, like as he moved his arms, it looked like rainbow biofeedback, iridescent kind of shimmery light with rainbow kind of, as he moved his arms, it just created these rainbow like colors off of his arms as he moved them.
Right.
And he came forward to me, and he didn't move his legs to walk to me. It was as if he just went in intervals, like a foot and a foot and a foot and a foot to me, right? From my kitchen to my living room, which I thought was like really trippy. And he said, "We're here to take you." And I said, "No, no, I have to save the children. So he went away, and he said, "Quickening." Well, after that, I was at Children's Hospital. I was with everybody. I had musicians that want to do albums to raise money for kids in the hospital. I mean, everything became kids. Want to work on a kids album. I was working on a kids album to raise money. I'm with St. Jude. I'm like, I've got the people that helped Danny Thomas, start St. Jude. I'm working with the TV producer whose mom helped Danny Thomas. I call her
Right.
Aunt Julie. Tom Shadyac, who did Pet Detective and all those movies I was talking to you about, Patch Adams. I'm at his house. I'm like, I mean, it's insane. His brother's the one that is at St. Jude now, and that's why I do a lot of stuff for kids, and that's why my sessions, I give money to, I give bunnies, I get bunny money, and then I help the kids have something to hold and everything, and it
Right.
comforts them, and they then even communicate with people, and and I help special needs kids to communicate with their parents, things like that. I do anyway.
I got one last video I want to show,
Okay.
because we're talking about people, loved ones from the other side. Sometimes they send you back. We talked about all that as well, and or voices or whoever it is on the other side, kind of sending you back. Now I have a video of a man that just had a near-death experience, as in the hospital, as he had just woken up,
Okay.
and he's explaining exactly what happened to him on that N.D.E. So let's go ahead and watch. This is about 42 seconds long.
Okay.
It's very quick. So let's check this out real quick.
So I saw these swirling lights, and I heard I heard this pattern of voice or something, and I just realized now what they were saying. And they were saying, Mike's coming home. Mike's coming home. And then I heard Jesus say it's not his time. He's just here for a visit. It's all coming together. Because I didn't quite clarify why they were swirling around me. They were excited.
Wow. So yeah, he's having this experience, this moment when he's starting to remember everything that happened. He sees people kind of swirling around him, and he's saying, Mike, it's not his time yet, right?
Right.
And it's kind of like a confirmation at the same time, knowing that there's something on the other side, and the comfort level of it, like we saw in the second video, why he's saying, I can't wait to go back.
Right.
It's just a small thing that we experience being in this vessel in our bodies, right? And then it's just a small thing, but when we go to the other side, it's just totally, it's you, it's really you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So and it's kind of it's not crazy, but it's just the experience of what happens to these folks. It gets my mind kind of, when they come back to, like, once they come back, they see themselves where people are just doing the resuscitation on them, and then they wake up and they're like, hey man, I saw you here, or I saw you in the hallway, and what you said, and you talked about this and you talked about that, and I heard you praying for me, or these are the things that people have experienced as well, of actually floating and being around people in the now, from that dimension, right?
Sure. There was a guy named David, and he's a filmmaker guy, and I met him through Vincent Spano, the actor. I started dating Vincent anyway, and I met this guy, right? And I didn't know, we both did Murder, She Wrote spin-offs and things like that together, as actors and stuff. And so it was funny. We were in the same episodes, never met. That happens when you work on projects. But so David Nell was his name. Anyway, so David Nell and I met, and I said it was funny because Vincent Spano brought me. He says, "Oh, I'm going to introduce you to my business partner friend." And I said, "Oh, okay." And he brings me towards this guy, and I go, "Wow, he's got light all over him. He must have died before." And
Wow.
Vincent goes, "Oh, you'll have to talk to him." And sure enough, he did. And we ended up talking and that was like 11 o'clock at night, in Pasadena. We ended up going back to his place, talking all night until the sun came up. It was fascinating.
Wow.
All about the other side and about our near deaths. And so it was really fun. And so it's funny. I could have met him, on the set, but instead I still met him. You know what I
Right.
mean? I always think there's a
It was
destiny to meet someone.
it was like meant to be. Like once these things happen, and then we've talked about not being scared anymore. That
Oh yeah,
and this is what I say. I always say dying is easy, living is hard, right? This is what we
right.
go
It's
through
true.
as a lot of people experience the death. Once they come back, they're like, what, I can't wait to go back, right? So it's
Yeah.
like their lives change, and then like that man said earlier, something you bring back with you, a small piece, and then they end up changing, right? Like you talked about, your friends
Yeah.
started admitting what they were doing. One of them said,
Yeah.
what, I don't want to be a Satanist anymore, things like
Yeah.
that. It's they have like the epiphany moment of this, I need to change my life, and I brought this little piece back with me, and now I'm a better
Sure.
person, right?
Well,
uh,
when I was with my uncle for a minute, I want to tell you, my uncle, he had died. He had 5 quadruple bypasses, something like that. I mean, he turned blue on the table, and then he told the whole family, Junie's right. Junie Junie is right about dying because he died on the table and came back. Right? He was
uh,
dead.
yeah,
And it runs in my family apparently because my grandma had it too, and she had it just around Easter time, which is
right,
really wild, right?
right,
But she didn't die until November 15th. She always said people are born like her son, born on the 15th, die on the 15th in our family, buy a new car on the 15th, everything was a 15, right? All into numbers.
right,
And so anyway, so it was November 11th when my mom called, and my mom said, Nanny's dying, and I'm like, oh no, she's not dying today.
yeah,
She goes, how do you know? I go, she's gonna die on the 15th. Remember, she got the will. She's gonna die, and she died on the 15th at 8:38 a.m. My grandfather came by the side of my bed. He had died before. He came by the side of my bed and woke me up and said, Junie, I'm taking grandma now. Now, what's funny is grandma's coming with me, that kind of thing.
yeah,
Anyway, so I don't want to change his words, you know what I mean? But it's been a while. So anyway,
right,
so this was 1994, November 15th, 1994.
right,
Anyway, the wildest thing was that week, Nanny was saying Uncle Bob is paving the way for her.
yeah,
That was her son, my Uncle Bob,
yeah,
who died. And she goes, Uncle Bob is paving the way. So I knew then she was dying. Like, when she had the near death, and my mom's like, oh, she's going to die soon. Everybody always said, she's going to die, she's going to die, she's going to die. I mean, that went on for years. I said, yeah, whatever.
Don't you? I mean, but still, don't you kind of catch it as strange? I mean, I've had a lot of relatives, not a lot, but a few of them in my life that have passed, and I swear to God, it's like when they pass, it's always close to their birthday or on their birthday. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
so close to their birthdays.
yeah.
If is it that kind of coincidence to where the life and the death connection are like in sequence with themselves, kind of like they're kind of cross paths in a sense, right? When you're brought into this world, it's life, right? You leave, it's the exit, it's the death. But
Oh, yeah.
the dates are usually super close. I'm just saying maybe a lot of them, not everyone, but a lot of them, it does happen like that. And like you just said, it's the number has a lot to do with it, right?
Well, yeah, and the interesting thing is you see a lot of births of babies when somebody's dying too in the family, which is very interesting. But I've worked on because being a psychic medium, and we should talk about true mediumship because hi, I'm a medium. They're really just an intuitive or a psychic. They're not a medium. To be a
Right,
medium, you need to ask a medium, have you been dead before? Good first
right,
question.
right,
If they say yeah, ask them about their experience before you even hire them.
right.
You know, I only know of one person that called themselves a medium that had been dead before, and I'm not buying, you know what I mean, the story.
Right.
I mean, I've been around a lot of this kind of stuff. I've been, through the hypnosis thing of taking people under and all. Yeah, nah, you know. Um, so I'm not buying
Uh,
it, but
mhm,
it's a good thing to say, for somebody to say. You get where I'm going.
yeah.
And I said to them, "Do you see dead people?" I see dead sessions with people. I feel them, and a lot of things happen. And we could even talk about the train, and another show if you want about the train and how people experience the train
Right.
when people die. So there's a whole thing about the train on the other side.
Right.
That's a
Well,
whole other scenario. But yeah, I mean, if you need a medium, you want someone who's been to the other side and back that's going to
right.
channel your relatives that are on the other side. That you need somebody who's got to step on each side
Exactly.
of the
Exactly.
fence.
Yeah. I've heard
You
that
know.
too as well.
Anyway, go ahead.
So I mean, unfortunately, we have to end this podcast right now. We've already hit the 1 hour mark. So, thank you for being on.
That's
Thank you
fast.
for being on today's show. Yeah, it was fast, right? But thank you for being on today's show and talking about your experiences and kind of helping people
Yeah.
understand the other side of everything. So, I'll add links to your pages and where people can find you. And
Oh, thank you.
yep, for sure. And that way they can get a hold of you and help with the kids and everything like that if they need any help.
That would be awesome. Thank you so much. I'm doing my big Easter fundraising thing for kids, to get bunnies. So
Right on. Nice. Good for you.
so they're all thankful. I'm very thankful, and I love working with people. So anybody, just send me your phone number. Don't forget, if you want me to contact you, I will call you. If you give your phone number, I will. Okay. Well,
Right
lots of
on.
love to everybody, and happy holidays. Happy Bunny Day to everybody too coming up.
Right on. All right. We'll talk to you here shortly. Thank you for being on the show again.
Thank
Talk to you
you.
here shortly.
Thanks everybody. Okay.
Okay. All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed today's podcast, and just kind of understand where, a lot of things where she was talking about what she experienced. And she's had a few of these, right? Through her years. And I didn't get to talk about my story. Look, I thought about talking about it, but I'll talk about my story, on the next one, right? I do have an N.D.E myself, and I wanted to talk about it, but I kind of forgot because I was getting into the moment and getting into the information, right? Because a lot of these things are important, right? And just because we don't get to experience these don't mean we don't get to see other people or hear other people's stories of the NDEs, right? And what they experience as well, right? So let's kind of hold on to that, and hold on to what's the best on the other side. And as us as good people and helpful to other people, we always try to help people and just to become a better person, you know what I mean? And these are eye-opening experiences that you can if it does happen to you, then you can tell your story, because I believe these kind of stories should be told as well, right? Just like with the abductions and everything that happens to people, so we can kind of get a better understanding of the process, right? Because there is a process that happens during the NDEs and everything that's happening. So everybody out there, thank you so much, Brett. Thank you, David Aleph. Thank you. All these people are out there. I believe Anibal was out there as well. Shannon, everybody was out there watching tonight. And they're just saying you're right. I love the stories to see if like mine, right? Because you do comparisons, right, to your stories and to a lot of these people. That's why I showed the other videos of other people as well, so that way you can get a kind of like a grasp of different folks as well, right? Because it does happen to different people, and it changes them, right? It does change people when they come back, right? And I just hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. Catch us on 28, 29 platforms. You can even ask Alexa to play some Alien Strand podcast. Catch us on the next one. After this, we got some more coming up with June. We have some more with other folks coming up as well. And I'll be throwing out the flyers for those as well. Catch us on Patreon on our Alien Strand Extras. Go there. It's free. Go sign up for that, and you'll get some little extra stuff that's going to be coming. All right. So I am still doing another podcast on Patreon. You won't see it here. You're only going to see it there. But thank you guys. It's been my pleasure. You guys have yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good evening. And have yourselves a good night. Remember, Alien Strand Podcast. Give us a thumbs up.